guys and gals, I've got a quick little video special for you today on a 2012 Mustang GT. This car belongs to my buddy Tally from work, and today I will be installing an aftermarket set of LED side marker lights. Let's show you what I got. Alright guys, so the first thing I noticed about this kit is the quality of the side marker lights. And they are DOT compliant, and everything has a number to number match on the harness. It's all plug and play except for the power and the ground, and the quality of this wiring for running underneath the car is very durable and weatherproof. So if you want to get your hands on one of these, hit up BLDDA on Instagram. And I will put this in a bigger area where we can stretch it out and you can get a better look at it before we install it on the car. Starting at the passenger side rear to the driver's side rear, onto the driver's side front, and finally to the passenger side front. And then you got your control box and your power and ground. And of course we're going to have a before Now let's get to the install so we can see the after. I've got the car up on jack stands, and I've got all the wiring laid out according to where the lights go on the car and their corresponding numbers. All the wiring seems to be plenty long enough, and my plan is to run up over the wheel well following the hood latch release cable and underneath the core support cover, and got my power and my ground. Need to tap into the running lights and the control box. I plan to mount here away from engine heat and weather. Hopefully that's a good spot, otherwise we'll have to run it inside the car to the fuse box, to fuse 22, which is the park lamps. So let's get started. The first thing I want to do is remove this core support cover. Get it out of the way, see what I'm working with. And I need to find my running light wire. Figure out which one is running light, not the turn signal. So we need to figure out which wire is our running lights. I made a small nick in this purple one. I'm pretty sure this is it. I'll hook up my wire, got my ground. Alright, that's the one. We're going to go ahead and snip this. Wire in our control box for the Bluetooth LEDs. Got our booty connector. Snip that one. And we got our power. Let's just start over with this wire. A little piece of heat shrink. Butt connector. Your wires, make sure you got a good connection. And before I shrink this, I'm going to put the bulb back in. and double check it's working. Alright, it's good to go. And now we'll put our bulb back in and we'll run our ground and start routing our wires. We'll just tuck that back in there and act like we didn't see that. Alright, got our heat shrink. Alright, we've got our power and our ground run. Next we need to get into the bumper and get that side marker light out, and then continue running our wires. Alright, now before I do that, I want to verify that I've got a good ground and power. So we've got number 2, number 2. We'll hook these together. And then we've got number 1, number 1. And we should have a light. Awesome. Everything's working. Press on. Alright. To access this side marker light, we need to pull these screws out of the wheel well liner. And I believe there's 3. There's one here, and then another one underneath. So pull the wheel well liner back and out of the way. And then we'll be able to access the nuts that holds the lens in for the front bumper. And these are 10mm. Now retain these nuts. These are plastic nuts, and these are going to be needed to mount the new lights. And we've got our wire. Try to get a little more length out of it. That should be plenty. Follow the routing of our stock wire. And then this one you can just poke back up in there and zip tie it up out of the way. And here we are, we have number 2 again. Number 2. And these little nuts, I recommend running them on there before you put the light back in, because they don't come pre-threaded. Run them down till they stop. Don't wrench them down too tight because it is plastic. So now we have a thread. Do that again on this side. I'm gonna plug our light in. Seemed to fit quite flush in there. So I found my fitment issue. This stud is just a little fat for this hole, so I'm gonna go ahead and wobble that out a little bit. Much better. Alright, now real quick before I zip tie everything up and button up the fender liner, I want to try to weatherproof this socket just a little bit. And if he ever wants to go back to his regular bulbs, all he's got to do is remove the tape, unzip tie, and plug his originals back in. Alright, now that we've got that done, we've got some extra wire here. I'm going to go ahead and kind of put it in a cluster. Try to make it look as clean as possible. And then move on to the other side. And there is a fuse here, so I want to leave that accessible. I don't really want to cover it up, so. Alright guys, for the rears, these are a little easier. Use a panel tool, it's plastic. Get up underneath this back corner, push forward and pry outward. And she comes right out. Then there's a couple screws here. You pull those out and then you can pull your bumper cover out enough to get in there and do what you need to do. If you don't have one of these little stubby screwdrivers, you need to get one. Otherwise, you got to take the wheels off to be able to get those screws out. Well guys, unfortunately I had to go back and reroute my wire from over the top of the shock tower to the frame rail under the fender well liner, and we got it all back here where it needs to be now. It's just long enough. So we'll go ahead and plug in our next light, and then this one just pushes in. Got a little clip on the back, goes in first. Good to go. Button this one up, put screws back in it, and move on to the next side. Alright guys, she's done. She uses an app called Happy Lighting, and you can change the colors. It's also music activated. Or you can just set it to random and it'll switch from color to color. Again, check them out if you want to pick you up a set. Remember, like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.